Good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have another severe weather outbreak likely today across the southern plains with destructive hail, intense winds, and tornadoes possible. And then a strong storm system will bring heavy rainfall, possible flash flooding, and strong winds this weekend across the East Coast. And then the active long range pattern does trend towards warmer weather and more severe weather as well. So we'll get to those details later on in today's video. But going over the satellite view here, very impressive. We got a deepening system across portions of the East Coast and our next storm system diving out of the front range that'll be moving across Oklahoma and Texas as we get into this afternoon and tonight. That will be the system to produce our significant severe weather outbreak across North Texas as we go through later on. But going back to the last 24 to 48 hours, we definitely did see a lot of severe weather reports. In fact, 7 tornado reports across portions of northwest Florida and southwestern Georgia. And to go along with that, we had 52 wind reports and 20 hail reports for a total of 79 severe weather reports from your Thursday, April 27th. But if you guys like detailed weather breakdowns on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics, now is the time to press the subscribe button down below. You get detailed weather breakdowns each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. And it's also very important to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. It helps to get all of this weather information out to as many people as possible, so I definitely appreciate it. But going through today, this is our main piece of energy moving across the front range, and this is going to be diving down to the east-southeast across the Red River here into Oklahoma and Texas this afternoon and into tonight, and that will provide enough lift for some severe weather as we go in towards later on today. So much so that the Storm Prediction Center has already hoisted a level 3 out of 5, an enhanced risk in these orange shaded colors across northern Texas into central Texas. This does include the I-35 corridor from Dallas-Fort Worth down through Waco, Austin, and even the San Antonio region, with that slight risk extending all the way south to the Rio Grande Valley. So definitely watching out for these areas as well. But looking at the setup, we have dew points back into the 50s and lower 60s across these areas, especially as farther south as you go. The dew points will be higher down here into the Rio Grande Valley, and that is where our stronger instability will be. So we got moderate CAPE values up here into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but as you head southbound down I-35 toward Waco and the Austin region, you'll start to get into these oranges and reds, and that is 2,000 to 3,000 plus joules per kilogram of instability. Definitely more than you need for severe storms, and combine that with some stronger shear values in the atmosphere, we definitely have a lot of ingredients going for the severe weather threat later on today. So we definitely have to pay attention to this, so much so that we actually have a 15 to 30% shading of some significant hail today along the I-35 corridor from Dallas-Fort Worth down through Waco, the Austin region into San Antonio. These hailstones could be over 2, if not over 3 inches in diameter along the I-35 corridor with the initial supercells, and we also have a tornado risk with the initial storms as well, especially centered across the Dallas-Fort Worth area down into Waco, but still a 2 to 4% shading of tornadoes down into Austin, San Antonio, and the Laredo area as well. And then as these storms grow upscale into what we call an MCS or mesoscale convective system, they will be providing us with the threat for hurricane force wind gusts, again, along and east of the I-35 corridor from Dallas-Fort Worth towards Tyler, Texas, getting down through the Waco region, Austin, and San Antonio. So definitely want to be mindful of that going through today. So let's time out the storms. Noon time frame, we just got some showers and isolated thunderstorms on up here into western Oklahoma, the Texas Panhandle near Amarillo, and then back into eastern New Mexico as we get towards the middle of today. But by the time we get toward mid-afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time, we're going to start to pop off some of these intense supercells just to the west of Fort Worth, and these storms will be very quick to turn severe and produce some very large to giant hailstones of 2 to 3 inches in diameter or larger. Also some tornadoes out of these storms as well, but they'll quickly grow upscale into a squall line This will be providing us with the threat for hurricane force winds over 75 miles per hour as they propagate further off to the east southeast. And then as we go through later on this evening, this will become a little bit more loosely organized, but still producing some severe weather along the way across eastern Texas into coastal Texas down towards the Houston region and the Rio Grande Valley. So definitely want to be mindful of that. But in addition to the severe weather threat, we'll also be seeing some heavy rainfall. So areas in the purple and pinks here, we could be talking about over an inch of rain in some localized areas, up to 2 inches of rain, especially into eastern Texas and then southward towards coastal Texas going through that Friday night and Saturday time frame here. But then as we go into Saturday morning, we're going to continue to push this system farther off to the east with the energy crossing over the Arklatex and the Arkla regions, and then across the southeast as we go into tomorrow evening on Saturday evening, and we'll have another threat for severe storms, this time a level 2 of 5, a slight risk for severe weather across northwest Florida and far southern portions of Georgia. This does include the Destin region, Panama City over here to Tallahassee, and the Gainesville, Florida region as well, that want to be on high alert going through your Saturday, including the potential for a few more tornadoes across the Tallahassee, Panama City, and Gainesville, Florida area as well. So definitely want to be on high alert through your Saturday, and the setup remains the same. Dew points will be in the upper 60s to low 70s. The highest of the dew points will be here across northern Florida with dew points around 71, 72 degrees. And that will contribute to moderate, if not borderline strong instability of 2,000 to 3,000 joules per kilogram across northern and northwestern Florida on Saturday. So looking at the timing of the storms, the main energy is off to the west Saturday morning. So we're waking up very quiet here across the southeast at 7 a.m. on Saturday. But watch as we get toward the noon time frame. We got more storms starting to fire up across northern Florida. These could be supercells capable of producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, some quarter-size hail, and possibly a couple of tornadoes already by noon. And then as we go through the late afternoon and early evening hours, by 6 o'clock, we'll start to see a squall line of showers and storms push across southern Georgia and Florida here. This will bring a more widespread mode of severe weather, but likely damaging winds and large hail, but a couple embedded tornadoes will be possible. And even going after midnight, we'll have a secondary line, or at least a broken line of storms push through. These could also pose the risk for damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. So definitely be mindful of that if you're across the southeast going from Saturday into Sunday. And this also will be producing some more heavy rain. So portions of southern Georgia, southeastern Alabama, and north central Florida here will be seeing the heavy rain, with the heaviest of the rains down here into Panama City and Tallahassee, where some of these areas could see locally up to 3 inches of rain going through that Sunday morning time frame. And then speaking of Sunday, as we get into that time frame, the severe weather will be more minimal, with a marginal risk across the eastern Carolinas up into coastal Virginia and then down into southern and central Florida here. But we're also going to see the system start to move farther north and east. So as that does occur, we're going to have a stronger trough up here across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes, and then another trough underneath that towards the Gulf Coast here on your Saturday. But watch as this gets ingested. We have that trough across the southeast moving up across portions of the East Coast, and this will ingest it into the main system up here into the Great Lakes and become one big upper level low pressure system early next week to start May on Monday, May 1st. And this is going to provide us with lots of strong winds, lots of heavy rainfall, and even some flash flooding potential going in towards early next week. So looking here at your Sunday, April 30th, we got some stronger winds not too far above the surface. This is at 850 millibars, and you can see screaming around 50 to 60 knots here. So definitely seeing some stronger wind gusts across the immediate coastlines here of the mid-Atlantic and the southeast going through your Sunday time frame. And then that lifts up across southeastern Canada and the northeast on Monday, with maybe some backwash moisture moving in with some stronger winds across the upper Midwest and the Ohio Valley to start your May on Monday, May 1st. So looking at the precipitation trends through your Sunday does look rather soggy across the mid-Atlantic here. Places like Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore definitely will be raining for majority of your Sunday. And then going into Monday, that lifts up across the I-95 corridor into the Northeast, bringing some moderate to heavy pockets of rain up across New York City, Boston, getting up into portions of Maine. But look at the moisture on the backside. There is enough cold air where we could be talking about some moderate snowfall up here into the UP of Michigan, parts of Wisconsin, and even northern lower Michigan, as well as this low pressure system starts to tightly wound itself up here across the upper Great Lakes as a 987 millibar low and bringing in all of this cooler air. But looking at the total rainfall accumulation, so from now through early next week on Tuesday, May 2nd, definitely seeing some decent rains across the East Coast here. In fact, many areas over 2, if not 3 inches of rain. So a good 2 to 4 inches here expected across Pennsylvania, getting into New Jersey, Delaware, down through Maryland and Virginia here. Definitely some decent rains there. And then up across the I-95 corridor from New York City, Long Island, getting up into Boston, and in the coastal Maine, we'll be seeing 2 to 3 inches of rain likely in many of those areas going through your Tuesday timeframe. And look across southeastern Canada, the Toronto area to Montreal, another 1 to 2 inches of rain there as well. So definitely a soggy go of it across the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, and southeastern Canada. And again, across the Northeast, this is where we could be talking about some flash flooding concerns, especially Sunday, April 30th into Monday, May 1st, with the highest concerns across eastern portions of New Hampshire into coastal Maine. We'll definitely be watching out for you with that slight risk for flash flooding during that time frame. But as we go in toward the middle of next week, we got a little bit of some changes to talk about here. That ridge that's across the Intermountain West will slowly slide off toward the east and encompass more of the upper Midwest and the Great Plains on Wednesday. And we're going to continue to see below normal temperatures on Wednesday across the East Coast and parts of the West Coast. But then as we get into late next week, another potent trough moves in with a cold front, and that will make our temperatures go back below normal across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast during that time frame on Friday, May 5th. So looking at those temperature trends on Wednesday, May 3rd, temperatures will be rebounding back into the 60s and 70s across the majority of the heartland of the country here. But as we go into Thursday, you're starting to see the beginning signs of another potent cold front moving in across southern Canada into the upper Midwest. That will knock our temperatures down into the Bismarck area, Fargo, and then down into the Twin Cities back into the 50s, where underneath that we'll see widespread 80s across the Missouri Valley, the central and southern plains here. And then as we go into Friday, that cold front starts to make headway a little bit farther to the south. So more 40s and 50s introduced again with another cold shot of air across the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. And then look at the heat building down into Texas. We have lower 90s across central and north Texas. And when you factor in the heat index here, we could be talking about some middle to upper 90s with our heat indexes and even some lower 100s down near the Rio Grande Valley down here into Texas on Friday, May 5th, just a week from today. So definitely talking about some summertime heat during that time frame. And speaking of some heat, it looks like by Mother's Day weekend, again, the areas that cool down across the upper Great Lakes region and the upper Midwest will see another rebound into the second week in May. And that will send our temperature soaring once again as we have another trough across the West Coast with some unsettled times. Temperatures will be kind of going back below normal during that time frame. And looking at the precipitation trends during Mother's Day weekend, it looks predominantly more soggy and active across the Intermountain West, the Rockies, and then down here again across the Southern Plains and Gulf Coast, where it looks drier across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and the Northeast, and much of Southern Canada during this period. And looking at that, the dew point temperatures into Mother's Day weekend look to be more limited to places like the Texas region, down across the Gulf Coast into Florida, the Carolinas, and Georgia, with those higher dew points across those areas, more comfortable air farther towards the north. So we're not talking about any severe weather outbreaks really during that time frame. So my severe weather forecast for the second week in May, it does look possible for some severe weather events across portions of the Front Range, across eastern Colorado, down across the central central and southern plains. This could be as far north as southern Nebraska through Kansas here, Oklahoma, and getting down into North Texas once again. And that could extend as far east as western Arkansas and northwestern Louisiana as we get in toward that second week into May. Well, if you want to follow me on Twitter for additional weather forecast updates periodically throughout the week, make sure to hit the description down below and follow me on Twitter at hweather420. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos each and every morning. It definitely helps out with all the support. Definitely appreciate it, guys. Be sure to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Friday, everybody, a great weekend, and I will see you all in the next video.